American males weigh 225 or above. Right, it's 225 is the 75th percentile. So basically they weigh more than that. They weigh at least 225. And then 15% weigh at least 244, which is like squarely in the Ozempic range. I mean, these guys are not football players. So the average flabby American, 263. 10% of America is 263 or more. And then the top 5%, 287 or more. Whew. We got an offensive lineman here. Okay, so what percent of the age distribution, I guess is what I'm asking. USA age distribution. Okay, this doesn't give me exactly what I'm looking for, but it looks like 18% are 0 to 14. So I need 0 to 20. So that cohort's maybe 25%. That's 12 million people that like very much need it. So 12 million people, average weight of, well, let's maybe put up here, there's 12 million people. And then if we do these are about 25 million people. And then this is 37 million people. And this is 62 million people. So maybe this is a good way to look at it. And then we have to think about income, I think, and insurance. So remember, right now, we guessed that there are 5 million people in America on these drugs. Do you think a 190-pound person wants to take Ozempic? I mean, the case kind of can be made for all these people. I'm not sure the case is that great for these people. Well, I guess if I'm looking at the female side, this is a 200-pound woman, which I think most women don't want to be 200 pounds from last I checked. On the male side, it's a bit different. I wonder if more men, like for men, it's just this group, but for women, maybe it's like this entire group. And then we need an income distribution. So we're going to get like a cross-section. Look at the Asian income. 109,000. Black income 53. Whites in the middle. We're chilling in the middle. We're good. You Asians out there stay winning. You know, blacks, we get the comeback coming. Get the comeback, baby. Don't count us out. Okay, how about a distribution? Median. I'll take percentiles. Okay, here we go. So let's add this up. 12.3, 16.4, 9.2, and 11.9. This is basically 50%. Makes 75K plus. And then all this minus that 12.3. Make 100K plus. And then 150K plus is here. And then 200K plus is 11.9%. Okay, so that's households, right? It's not exactly people. So you'd say like about half of these people could afford Ozempic. at about $6,000 a month. I'm sorry, $6,000 a year. And 12% definitely can afford it. But it looks like feels like it's tapped out, to be honest, because I mean, there's a lot of people who are on Ozempic that are not even overweight. They're like over here somewhere. But if I take these 30 million women and maybe 6 to 10 million men, maybe I'll take 12 million men. So there's 42 million people that kind of really need Ozempic in America. 5 are on it. But insurance is not a big fan of Ozempic or any of these GLPs, Mounjaro, whatever. 20% of these people could pay for it. Out of pocket, basically. Maybe 8 million. Not everyone's going to take medicine just because they can, but those are because they need to. Plenty of people are just not going to take it. Some people have side effects, for example. Some people just don't want to inject themselves all the time. But there will be pill GLP-1s coming as well. Keep that in mind. And there'll probably be a little bit of continued price pressure. This is tricky. It doesn't feel like there's a gigantic opportunity left. I mean, there's more growth ahead, but not that much more growth. Let's look at some of my forecasts, I guess. I think Lilly could be a short. Not that it's a bad company or anything. It's a great company. Stock prices are different from whether a company is good or not, right? Just because a stock is overvalued doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad company or something. It just means the market's gotten ahead of itself. I think Mounjaro will continue to sell. I think Ozempic will continue to sell. 𝗕𝗀𝗀𝗆𝗍 will not continue to sell, as it's replaced largely by Ozempic. Ribelsis will probably continue to sell. Zepbound will continue to sell quite a lot. So we're already forecasting that 7 million Americans will be on these stuff. As I said, I mean, it does look like 42 million Americans could benefit from these medicines. But that doesn't mean they'll get it. At best, half of them will get it. And that's at best. That's if every single person takes the medicine, which we know is not going to happen. Maybe half. And that's a really good, healthy assumption. Half of these people are on GLPs. Because if you look at the statins, you got quite a good percentage of Americans on statins. There's already 5 million people on GLPs. It's not like that came out of nowhere. That's going to keep growing. But can it get to 11? Can it get to 11 million people, 10 million people? Probably. Now, what about these other drugs that are coming out? One of them is going to get some market share too. We should look at Viking as well. What's really funny about this is, like, if you look at the first drug, right, in its first year, it's not even the first drug, but maybe the first really good GLP, sold 150 its first year. The next one comes out, and you would think, well, this class is already well trodden, why would it sell so well? And it comes out and sells 755. And then they do a kind of a rehash of it, and that sells like a billion, and the next one sells a billion. Zepbound will probably do more than that. Year 2 got better as well. So it's one of these funny things where you can be third in the class of drugs or fourth and still have the bestseller, which is really funny. Let's put in some forecasts for Zepbound, Now, Lilly's guidance could be conservative, but they gave guidance that implies, yeah, so maybe Zepbound will be the best-selling GLP maybe of all time. I don't know. And that could have been like quarterly loading for stocking. I doubt it, though. So if you look at their guidance, they're probably being conservative. Most companies try to be conservative when they give their forecasts, obviously. But they gave this guidance of 40.4 to 41.6. I had 44 billion or something. This configuration, I have 42, which is well above the top end of the guidance. But it could probably be 43 or 44. So what happens to Lilly if Mounjaro... Let's look at how this happens. All right. Let's see sort of what happens if Lilly's revenue reflects 11 million Americans on these drugs, which is kind of what the demographic research might suggest could happen. Okay. So in that case, Mounjaro will do 15 billion in 25. I have 14. And Zepbound will do 3.3. I had 3.2. Yeah, I think it's a short. Lilly has another medicine coming as well. And again, this isn't a fault of Eli Lilly if it proves to be a short. It's sort of a fault of just how big this market's getting. All right, so that would be 19 billion and 5 billion. Okay, that's a lot higher than what I have here. So let's make those numbers 19 billion and sort of 5 billion. All right. Now let's look at 2027. And we're getting close to that 11 billion number I mentioned in terms of like probably the most of amount of Americans that could realistically be on these drugs. Are at 23 and 7. That's assuming not a lot changes competitively. 23 and is it really 7? 6.5. Okay. Now things should slow down a little. And we'll look at patent life in a second because that'll determine kind of what happens at the end of the game here. But typically in pharmaceuticals, it almost doesn't even matter in this situation. Let's see. Okay, so 27 and 8. Wow. That's for 2028. And then things should hit a crawl. All right. Maybe that's where it shows up. All right. So in this situation, Eli Lilly is in 2023 and they have 60 billion in revenue. No, 50 billion in revenue. 60. 60 in revenue, 40 of which is, nope, more than that. 43 of which is GLPs. The rest is some random biologics. This will probably drop too, by the way. This other line generally tends to drop. Okay. Margins will probably be a little better. Okay. So they'll basically be a $30 billion cash machine. What would you pay for a $30 billion cash machine? That's assuming they don't grow or shrink from that point on. That's in 2023. Maybe you pay $600 billion for that. That's discounted. Now you do get all this cash in the meantime, and then you get all this cash after. But it doesn't add up to 700. It doesn't even come close. I mean, $400 a share. You know, even if they do miracles with their balance sheet, they're the best drug company ever. They reinvest quite a bit. That still doesn't quite get you there. So what would have to happen for Eli Lilly to be a long is none of the new GLPs could dent their business, one. Two, does that get us there? $550 a share, still not getting us there. And that's with the GLPs doing $45 billion in revenue. That's more revenue than any drug's ever done. Let's keep going. Keep pumping. $55 billion in revenue in 2030. Still not there. Somehow grows at maturity is what it would require. So is this likely to happen? Are we going to see $55 billion in revenue from these drugs? It's not that crazy. It sounds crazy, but they're already doing $14 billion for this year. So that's not that wild. That's only 3x, and they just got started. So I'm not sure it's that big of a short, right? Because if you're doing 14 this year, doing 55 doesn't sound that crazy, right? If your lemonade stand selling 14,000 a lemonade, and you say I have plans, or your car wash or whatever, so I have plans that it'll be 55K someday, doesn't sound too crazy. Triple the business. This is not a lemonade stand, of course, but I do think you got 42 million people who need the medicine. Price might come down. You might be able to get some of these folks. You might have another name for them. Some of these people. Onto the drug for less than maybe $5,000. Maybe you get them for $2,000 or $3,000. So it's not... You would have to see sales kind of slow. So you'd have to sort of time this short a little bit better. Now, the good news about studying GLPs is we get to study Novo Nordisk, too. We get to study Viking. We get to study Amgen. We get to look at all of these stocks, which is nice. So even though we kind of are studying one type of medicine, we really get a good sense for lots of medicines. And my guess is for like Viking, their company is probably fairly exposed to this one medicine. So let's take a look if we have a model for Viking. I don't think we do, so we'll make a new one. Some of you people are curious about VKTX, and then I'm going to call it a night and go back to programming, which is my day job. Well, let's look at Viking real quick as a bonus for all you people who have been waiting. Something that could lead to a really actionable trade, maybe. Who knows? Dupixent's, I'm just about to start taking Dupixent. Yeah, it doesn't look undervalued. Hard to see it undervalued. I mean, I didn't look at the rest of Lilly's pipeline, but it's not very good. Let's make a Viking model. Here's my Godel terminal. Viking Therapeutics. Whew. 2 billion cap, huh? Stock price has been a little wild. I don't know why this chart maybe is the wrong price. Let me see. That's not good. $80. Oh, that's why it has the wrong price. Stock went up like crazy today. Chart only keeps up with yesterday's price for the description page, at least. Let me look at the stock chart too. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Look at that bad boy. Woof. This is what they're talking about. Who faded this first green candle? Yeah, people need these medicines, man. They ain't... Oh, they raised money right away. They raised that money right away. This is going to be a good deal to get into, too. Call your broker, Morgan Stanley. Need that. And I remember when these guys got started, I sold this stock. It was a dog. So they're selling some more shares. The drug is called VK2735. Here, and you guys can pull these models up if you so desire on GitHub when I'm done. So this is a GLP-GIP dual agonist, similar to the other drugs out there. And let's see. This is called Venture, maybe? The Venture study in obesity. 13 weeks, 15% weight loss. 13.1 versus placebo. Here's the data. I don't think I can copy this. Weird. But I can, if I do this way, placebo, 2.5 mg, 5 mg, 10 mg, 15 mg, 13 weeks, weight loss, minus 1.8 kilograms, 9.2, 10.7, 13.3. Look at that. I don't even think they got the top of the dose curve. So that's 15 kilograms or 32 pounds. How would you like to lose 32 pounds in just 13 weeks? Amazing, huh? That kind of weight loss should be illegal. Let's look at the safety. 23 quit. Oh, 5 in placebo and 18 in treated. Wow, that's really good. Nausea, 43%. No, 68%. Okay, 68% was mild. No. 68 mild, 32 moderate. Okay. Vomiting, 18%. I think that's about how much you expect with the other drugs. It's like vomiting is very dose dependent, so it's a feature, not a bug. 29%, 17%. It's very easy to lose weight if you're barfing all the time. Oh, they have an oral too. Nice. Is it a peptidomimetic? Let's see. I don't know why they would mention the other company's drugs. It's a little weird. Good, but we're gonna have to look at them against the other medicines. So they had 361, 100 million shares outstanding. So the real market cap, it was 2 billion yesterday. See, the description box, this is the way we programmed it. The description box has yesterday's stock price, which makes sense. Because description's not supposed to change rapidly, right? But when the stock price changes rapidly, the market cap changes rapidly too. It's still a little weird though, because 100 million shares outstanding. I don't know where that market cap was coming from. I'll have to look into it. So it's an 8 billion market cap now? Okay. 361, no debt. All right, so they just sold tonight. They're selling 3 million shares, 4 million shares. Let's say 4 million shares. Almost none. Tiny dilution. And they'll raise, say, another 350. All right, whatever. Okay, we're gonna have to compare this to the other GLPs. Here's the obesity phase 3. This is called SURMOUNT-1. Change from baseline to week 20. So this is 20 weeks. And these are the pooled groups. We got 12.8. And then for placebo, we got 2.7. So technically, VK2735 has somewhat better weight loss even at 13 weeks than Mounjaro has at 12.8 weeks. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's look at nausea. We have 5 mg, 10 mg, 15 mg, nausea and vomiting. Okay, nausea. All right, it's just a more toxic drug, it looks like, right? 25, 33, 31, and vom, good old vom, 8, 11, and 12. But I remember in the early tirzepatide data that you kind of get used to titrating it, and there's a way to bring that nausea and vomiting down. So it looks it's probably equal in the worst case. They're probably very similar. I'll have to look at the molecule itself to determine if it's really similar or not. Same affinity for GIP, 5 times weaker than native GLP. Okay. We'll have to look at the binding affinity and stuff like that. Will this drug induce price competition possibly? I don't know. And let's maybe look at the molecule. What kind of molecule is it? They also have an oral. I mean, I'm betting Eli Lilly is also going to do an oral though. Okay, seal set valve. Okay, it's 2735. I got it backwards. That's why I'm not getting the results. There we go. I think it's a peptide. Hanmi Pharma. There's so many of these. Can't hide the patent, can you? Now remember, this company kind of came from Ligand. So let me see if they have a patent here. Why is this guy putting himself on the patent? I wouldn't do that for him. Okay, it's a peptide. Didn't take long. It's a pegylated peptide. Different esters there. So it's not that special if it's just a peptide. There's basically like a biogeneric Mounjaro. But if I'm Pfizer or Merck, I kind of need this. You know? I need that. Could definitely sell well. I don't think anybody's going to compound these drugs. I know some idiots are talking about it, but that's usually on the margin. Okay. All right, Mounjaro is worth 350 or even 400 billion. Yeah, I don't think the amyloid beta drugs will sell that well. They haven't sold for Biogen, so why would they sell for Lilly, you know? This looks like it could be a long. I don't think GLPs cause much GI paralysis. Reverse peristalsis. There's another word for that, I think. Yeah, there's also NASH, which we haven't talked about. I don't know that NASH is really a disease compared to the scale of this. I almost don't want to make a model for this, but I can just make a quick and dirty. Just because I love you guys. No other reason. The large opportunity we're talking about here. I wouldn't say it's 35 patient cohorts getting hyped up. I mean, this is an important asset they have. It's going to be a big drug. Right, so they'll be in phase 3 all of this year and all of next year. But maybe they'll be FDA approved 2027? 2026? I don't know. We'll say January 1st, 2027. Yeah, these drugs have been around for 20-something years, so there's no assets to depreciate or amortize, Carl. This is pharmaceuticals, baby. Nobody knows drugs like the pharma bro. Depreciation. What are you depreciating? The vendors. Vivek is a very, very, very good investor. All right, so this kind of helps because we have this like year 1 thing. So like theoretically, they this is maybe better to actually look at the average. The average GLP-1. Drug companies kind of with really good commercial organizations, but hypothetically, okay, 2028. Right, so 1 year later. Hypothetically, if they have the same launch, it's the same molecule basically. We'll actually look into whether or not it's exactly the same molecule, but this is 705. Get out of this patent. $1968 and 4690. So this is like a week launch for them. Yeah, this is a long. I think it's a long. It's kind of a, I hate to say it's like kind of a crappy company. It's always been a dog, but every dog has its day. I don't know, that's just a platitude, but hard to tell what happens at the end of these assets. Probably doesn't disappear. Technical analysis is good if you can do a multi-dimensional factor model in your head when you draw on the chart. Yeah, I'd probably be long this stock maybe just for hype. I mean, they could do even better than this, right? These are just some rookie numbers. If Pfizer bought them out or Roche bought them out, right? Johnson & Johnson probably wants a piece of this. Be careful, it's going to be a dicey stock, but I'd probably be long.